Over the pages of recent Marvel Comics, Apocalypse has made his grand return over to the Marvel Universe. And Apocalypse is just in time to help Storm and the people of Arakko fight off against his former wife known as Genesis. Thanks to Genesis's recent power upgrades with the Annihilation Staff, the Hundred, and the people of Amenth, she's launched a deadly assault against Storm. My name is Arakko Braddock, and today let's go ahead and see if Storm is able to fight back over in the Genesis War in X-Men Red issue 17. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button on our video. Apocalypse now. When Genesis returned to Arakko, she brought war in her wake. What will her husband bring with him? This issue, Apocalypse returns. Storm holds the ultimate weapon in her grip. But in the face of En Sabah Nur, even that may not be enough. X-Men Red issue 17 is written over from Ewing, featuring art from Yildiray Cinar. We have colors from Federico Blee, letters from VC's Ariana Maher, and design from Tom Muller and Bowen. In addition, the cover for the issue is coming in over from Stefano Caselli and Jesus Aburtov. I think this cover just does a phenomenal job showcasing the incredibly tense nature of Apocalypse, thanks to the logo of X-Men Red carried just in the palm of his hand here. I want to extend a thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting this preview and really bask in some of the incredible interior art coming in from Yildiray Cinar. Cinar adds so much interesting expressions to the series. I love his really detailed and expressive line that he utilizes. Really found that this opening page introducing Gabriel Summers as Vulcan brought out so many interesting aspects of the core X-Men Red series. I really appreciate the way that Apocalypse really reduces some of Gabriel Summers' ambitions and even fully discloses the fact that he intends on using Gabriel as an element as opposed to what's sort of transfixed over in his mind. I think this is incredibly fitting, giving some past issues of X-Men Red utilizing these character beats. I also think it's so fascinating how Ewing continues to go back to specific characters across X-Men Red when you would never expect to see them again over in terms of the narrative here. Over on this next page, I really appreciated learning about some of the ways that Apocalypse intends to bring about the elements over on the page here. This is a great way to foreshadow some of the final incredibly epic pages of X-Men Red, where Apocalypse helps Storm reach even greater heights than she thought possible. And I really appreciate the way that this issue kind of sets up the political tension of the narrative over in these next couple pages. We really deal with the fallout that some of Genesis' forces had on locations like Port Prometheus, as Storm really explores some of these scenarios as well. I also thought there was a really tense conversation over between Storm and John Ironfire really late over in the issue. Really getting to see Storm and John talk about the Uranos trigger and whether or not it's morally correct to use it created such an interesting conundrum over for these characters. Also, once again here, I love the way that Al Ewing takes a piece of established Marvel continuity and then reintroduces it over to the pages of X-Men Red. I am so fascinated with all the different ways the X-Men books have recently utilized the character of Apocalypse, especially in some of the ways that he continues his relationship over with Sunfire. I really think that going forward in some of these X-Men comics, even in a post-Krakoa era, I would love to see the return of some of these plot threads being introduced across so many X-Men comic books, whether it be the main X-Men title or Immortal X-Men. I just think the way that the entire line has shuffled Apocalypse around over these past few months has really made the X-Men comics seem even greater than the sum of their parts over in some instances here. Also, I really found it so poignant when Apocalypse was able to bring together this ritual over for Storm late in the issue with some of these surrounding characters. once again here, getting to see Al Ewing mix up some of these aspects of existing X-Men storylines in order to craft new continuity over for Storm was really fascinating. I also want to hand it to some of the art team as well as Marvel's editorial for really contributing this fascinating new storyline that's set to bolster the abilities for Storm. I thought these final couple pages, which I dare not spoil, were so epic and marked a really important time over for Storm in the middle of this climactic Genesis War. To me, it's really felt like in these past couple issues, things have been really looking bad over for Storm and some of her people. So, really getting to see Storm get powered up over towards the latter half of this issue definitely opened up some of these aspects over in X-Men Red for me. So at the end of the day here, I really thought this issue just did a phenomenal job finally bringing the Genesis War forward and introducing some fascinating new plot points. Love the idea that Uranos is still lingering in the back of X-Men Red after all this time, especially with people like Vulcan also populating some of these pages. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on X-Men Red 17, and we'll be back to see the last stages of the Genesis War in the very near future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.